We have something really freaking exciting to announce for all you listeners of the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. As a huge thank you for tuning in every week, for sending us lovely DMs and tagging us on Instagram, I want to start this little thing, which is leave a review for a chance to win free coaching. Simple as that. All you have to do is tune into the podcast, listen to some of our episodes, and then go ahead and subscribe and leave a review for a chance to win. Now, I do want you to keep in mind when you go ahead and write the review, make sure you take a screenshot first and then submit. So that way, in order to be entered, what you'll have to do is send the copy of that screenshot on Instagram. You can DM me directly at Steph Wharton _ and we'll go ahead and enter you for a chance to win free coaching with me. The way you'll find out is roughly every 2 months, we'll compile all of the entries and we'll go ahead and reach back out to the winner. We may even announce it on Instagram, actually. That might be more exciting. Okay, with that said, don't forget to go ahead, review us, send us a screenshot, and good luck. Welcome to the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. I'm your host, Steph Wharton. Join me as we dive into how to become a wildly in-demand CEO that prioritizes balance between life and business, isn't afraid of making the scary decisions that get you results you actually care about, and unapologetically breaks the rules to build the business and life of your dreams. I've always found it interesting how so many of us consider ourselves to be such hard workers. We're probably multi-passionate, and we really do put a lot of pressure on ourselves to overachieve. And when we do that, we put so many tasks on our calendars and on our to-do list that we tend to overwork ourselves, right? Which for some of us, to a certain extent, it can work, but there's always that threshold that we hit where that overworking, it does really tend to take a toll and we reach burnout. But instead, what we get to do is we get to figure out how to prioritize different activities inside of our business that are going to actually move the needle forward. I find that can be a science, something that we need to really dig deep and figure out what makes the most sense for us to prioritize and to focus and put our energy on in order to grow our business the way that we want to. And this is something that definitely does vary from person to person. I did a training inside of the Booked Collective, which for those of you who don't know, it is my membership for designers, as I used to be a brand designer myself. And essentially what we do is we have different trainings each month, whether it's an official training, hot seat coaching, or just a wine night social hangout, which we do. So you get those 3 calls each month, and it's unlimited message support inside of the collective where I get to just answer and support my clients inside of that community. And what we did is we put together this training, and I talked to my clients about money making activities and how to assess whether you're focusing on the right things or whether you need to readjust in order to start bringing in more paying clients. The cool thing was that for every person inside the membership, it really did vary as to what their money making activities were. Because depending on what stage of business you're at, what your priorities are, and what your goals are, also how much capacity you have, that's all going to dictate how much time you have and what you should prioritize in order to reach those goals and make those priorities happen. So one of the things that was coming up is instead of focusing on things that are not so much a priority, it was all about making the most out of the time that you did have, whether you have 1 hour a day, 5 hours a day, or all freaking day. If you're full-time in your business, you can make the most of that time. And a lot of the things that come up, whether that's inside of the collective or just what I see a lot of people doing on social media, is that we tend to focus on things that really don't matter at that time. Some of those examples are things such as trying to focus so much time and energy on coming up with the right hashtags for your Instagram content, or perhaps spending a lot of time creating a sales page for your new offer, or spending more money on a new photo shoot, or rejigging your entire website because it hasn't received an upgrade in a while. All these things, they don't have to be non-money making activities. However, 9 times out of 10, all these different activities and so many more are things that they just keep us busy. And when you boil things down, although they can contribute to us hitting our goals, they're not going to make or break them. So we can actually focus on something else and save a lot of our time and energy in order to still see the same results or even greater results without spending all that time on these little tasks that really they're just keeping us glued to our computer or our phone for hours at a time, when we could actually be showing up and building stronger relationships and selling. I feel like that's a key one there. At the end of the day, if we're looking at money making activities, the act of selling is always going to be a money making activity. Probably, regardless of what stage in business you're in, it's always going to apply. So, what we're looking at in order to figure out how to prioritize activities that will move the needle forward is you're going to figure out where you are at in your business. Based on that, you're going to have different priorities, right? So, for example, if you are newer to your business, or perhaps you're just on the earlier stages, right? Like you've been around for a while, but you don't yet have that consistency in clients, your main priorities are most likely going to be finding new clients, so lead generation, nurturing those relationships, and selling. Easy as that. Anything else, unless there's a specific scenario that you would like to share with me, anything else is probably just keeping you busy and keeping you stuck. Whereas finding the right clients, building those relationships, and selling are going to be the key activities inside of your business that are actually going to convert people that are just consuming your content or don't even know about you into paying clients. Now, if we move into the next stage, we have those mid-tier entrepreneurs. So at this point, you have reached some more consistency. You're very happy where you're at in your business. You have clients coming in, you're happy supporting them. And for this specific situation, you're actually happy with the status quo. Like, you don't necessarily want to scale into a multi-million dollar business. You're actually very happy. Your basic needs are being met. You can pay all your bills and you have no desires to grow further. So at this point, money making activities could just be simpler things, such as refining your process, refining your client experience, just fixing and enhancing things behind the scenes that are going to better support you, so that even if you don't grow your business, even if you don't start charging more, making more money, outsourcing, whatever, everything is so refined that you have more free time to then either take better care of your clients or just start enjoying your life even more. Because at that point, like we said earlier, you're not focused on scaling, you're happy with the status quo. However, quote unquote indirect money making activity is going to be simplifying and perfecting everything, so that now instead of more money, essentially you have more time. And time is money. Now, if we're looking at the third tier, here you're looking at scaling. So you're happy, you're very similar to the mid tier. You're happy with the amount of clients you have coming in, you have consistency, you're paying all your bills, you're pretty in a pretty good established and sustainable stage in your business. However, you want to grow. Like, you want that sexy freaking drool worthy wealth where you have so much money coming in, you don't even know what to do with it. You can hold money really well. You can put it into savings, into investing. You can spend it comfortably. You want to scale and take your business to that next level. So at this point in your business, your priorities are going to look very different than they would if you are newer or happy but not looking to scale, right? Money making activities are probably going to be more rooted around expanding what you're already doing in order to see better results, or focusing more in key areas and then expanding those further. So whether that means you want to expand your reach in order to attract more leads, gain more visibility, and essentially make more sales without necessarily putting in more effort. Similarly, you might want to diversify or expand your marketing. You might want to enhance your sales funnels, anything that can leverage what's already working and really give your brand more power in order to bring in more money, more sales, more traffic, more of everything. So that is going to really allow you to move that needle forward, to make more money, and to focus on the right activities based on where you are at in your business. Now, the reason I wanted to share this with you today is because last week, by the time that this is airing, I was very sick, exhausted. I pretty much had a cold and a sore throat, and I was like, this is not happening. Like, I can't work, support my clients, grow my business, and take care of myself at the same time, right? It was actually giving me flashbacks to the corporate world where you always do it both. You are sick, you don't feel well, you're trying to take care of yourself, but really you don't. You just show up to work because either you don't have sick days or vacation days, or perhaps you do, but you don't have enough. So you're trying to save them for, let's say, a time when you're feeling even more sick, when you really, really feel like you can't make it into the office. Or perhaps let's say you've used up all your sick days, or it's frowned upon to use your sick days, or you're too busy. So even if you could use them and you have an amazing team that supports you and that encourages you to take a day off, you realistically feel like you can't because of the amount of work and the pressure that you have at work. And I was like, I don't have that anymore. Am I really going to be that person that's going to self impose that pressure and force myself to work while I'm sick? Or am I going to prioritize all the activities and tasks that I have inside of my business in order to really only focus on the key things that I need to do in order to move the needle forward, and then spend the rest of my freaking day sleeping, taking naps, eating, hydrating, like just literally just relaxing and taking care of myself? So that's what I decided to do. And the way that I did that is by, yes, prioritizing my activities. That way, I'll explain what that looks like, but that way I was doing the bare minimum and still seeing movement and traction in my business without feeling like everything was falling apart and things were just going to not work out. So for me, based on the priorities that I had right now, and these can shift whether you're in a different stage of business, or even if you're in the same stage of business as I am or somebody else, but you have a current different goal or priority. Perhaps you're launching something, perhaps you are taking on more clients. Everything's obviously going to affect how you prioritize yourself, right? So for me at this point, I was in a phase in my business where I was calling in more one-on-one clients. So I was actively promoting my offers, giving value, sharing my unique perspectives, and welcoming people in to raise your hand and say, hey, let's have a conversation. I would love to hear more details about working with you one-on-one in a coaching container. So I decided that my main priorities were going to be, when it came to the business, twofold. The first is always, no matter what, for me, my number one priority is serving my clients. So any calls, any Voxer that I felt that I could continue to provide support through, I continue to do that. If, just as a disclaimer, if I was feeling sicker, like where I really could not show up and I really just needed to push everything back, then I would. And I would trust that my clients would respect me enough and understand that, hey, if we delay their call by a week, or if we provide minimal support this week and then more support next week through, let's say, message support, content review, whatever, that they would understand that, right? And that's the best relationship you can have with clients, is making sure that there's mutual respect there and there's an understanding that nothing is as important as people's health and well-being. So number one priority, as long as you can, is to serve the shit out of your clients. So essentially I was taking naps, hydrating, making sure I was eating and taking baths and doing all the things in order to take care of myself so that I could reserve my energy to serve my clients and to hop on Voxer and send them voice notes and do whatever I felt was needed in order to provide the best level of support. So that was my number one priority. And then my second one had to do with my business, my growth, and my goals, which, as I mentioned, was calling in one-on-one clients, which meant, at least for this specific example, it meant showing up, sending an email to my newsletter, and actively talking about my offers and continuing to nurture those connections and conversations who were reaching out and inquiring about said offers. That's it. Those two things. Taking care of my clients, creating content around selling and promoting my offers, and then outside of the business, simply taking care of myself. So on any given day, the business side of things look like 1 hour, maybe 2 hours a day of work. The rest of the day was literally spent sleeping and watching Netflix. And that's what you get to do when you really are brutally honest with yourself and figure out what activities are non-negotiable. What do I have to do / want to do while I'm either not feeling well, or even if you're feeling okay, but you're sick and tired of adding so many freaking tasks to your calendar and always being overworked and working long hours. Instead, just being honest with yourself and deciding, no, all I need right now, based on my goals and where I'm at in my business and where I want to go, I need to do these 2 things or these 3 things, and that is it. You get to decide that. And that email sequence, that sales page, that those hashtags, the captions, all those things that you feel like you are just pulling your hairs out and it's taking you so freaking long to do, it's probably because either you're not meant to be doing it right now and it's just not important enough for you to focus on, or 2, you're doing it in a way that just doesn't feel fun. It just feels forced. So that's probably a conversation for another time. But if you're doing activities inside of your business that feel forced and dreadful, there is, of course, a chance that you just need to suck it up and pull through, because that is what comes with the territory of owning your own business. But there's also a pretty high chance and likely chance that you can just ditch it and break the freaking rules and find a way to do something similar that can give you similar results, but you actually find enjoyable and easier to do because it's more you. It's more aligned with how you like to operate and how you like to show up. Anyway, that's a different conversation. So make sure you are taking everything in that we've discussed today and looking at your own calendar, your own priorities, and figuring out what do you actually need to do day in and day out in order to move the needle forward. That's it for this week's episode of the Fiercely Visible CEO podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at @StephWharton_ for more valuable content. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts.